Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to talk about user accounts, roles, permissions, and how we can group different assets and user accounts together all in one. I want to talk real briefly about restricting groups and restricting access to Lansweeper. Sometimes it's easiest just to hit admin for everybody, but as you probably already know, it's not best practice to do that. What I would recommend you do is give access to specific users to specific areas within the platform. For example, maybe one set of your IT team is going to need access to working on servers. We can actually create a special servers group and assign your users to that and only give them access to manage the assets and not be an admin. That's one way that we can protect the environment. Okay, so with that, let's jump in and let's take a look at creating the first set of asset scopes. Now that we've logged into Lansweeper, let's see where we can find our asset scopes. We're going to go down to the configuration. Inside of configuration, we can go to the account management, and here's where we can have our asset scopes. I've already created an asset scope inside here for my Fabricam lab. Let's take a look at what it does to create a new one. So I'm going to click on a new one, and I have a Contoso lab as well. So I'm going to name this Contoso. If you want to put a description in here, you can do that. And the condition for my Contoso lab, I can set the asset domain is equal to, or maybe you want to say is not equal to. And here's the different domains that have been discovered within the Lansweeper scans. I'm going to select Contoso. And if I have other roles or anything that I want to assign, I can do that. In this situation, I don't need to do that. So I'm going to hit Save and Exit. And now I have a new scope that has been configured. So I have all the Contoso lab domain is listed here, and the Fabricam is listed here. So now that we've configured some asset scopes, it's going to be a lot easier to configure the accounts and your user accounts that you want to assign specific roles, permissions, and assign them into that scope of assets. Okay, let's go back here to the configuration. And if you're jumping into the video right here at this point, where we're at is inside of configuration under account management. And you can see all the accounts that I have here listed right now is just myself. And I want to add my colleague Frederick to the account to help manage my servers. Now, one way I might want to do this is having multiple accounts in here. I might want to actually group different types of my users together. So I'm going to click on Account Groups. I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call this my server group because Frederick is going to be part of my server admin team. And I can select the different individuals down here. So you can see that having an order to how we build the environment is really, really helpful. So let me go back out of this, and let's create the account for Frederick first. We're going to invite him to our team. And from this window, I can type in Frederick's name right here out the gate, and he will be added to, an invitation will be sent to Frederick. If you have a domain that has been configured, you can see my Japanese lab has also been joined, and I've scanned the different users within my Japanese domain. I can grab some of those users as well, so I can select one, and that person will also be brought over. Since this is not necessary at this time, I will take that person out, and from here, I'm going to hit Next Steps, and I can assign Frederick to the different account groups. And this is an optional one, which we're going to do in just a moment. And we can also assign him one or more roles. In this case, I want him to be a management of my assets. And I can send the invitation. At this point, Frederick is going to receive the email inviting him into the Lansweeper account, where he'll be able to follow the link and set up his account with his username and password appropriately. Now that we have the account has been created, let's add Frederick to one of the groups that we want to create. So I'm going to call this our servers group, and I can add Frederick straight into that group. If inside of this group, Frederick is going to be have an assigned role, we can actually assign these groups of people here as well. So we want Frederick to manage assets. and then we can click Save and Exit. At this point, we have Frederick that has been created, he's been invited to the account, and he's been assigned into the group of administrators for our servers. Now, the challenge here is, what if I want to have a unique configuration of permissions created for Frederick? The cool and the powerful thing of Lansweeper is we can actually create a custom set of permissions for Frederick. Let's look what this looks like. So at default, at the installation, Lansweeper has got the administrator, the analyzing of data, application admin, and so forth, as you can see here on this list, already built in. But what if I wanted to have a unique set of permissions? Maybe I wanted to give somebody with similar to admin account, an administrator, but with lesser permissions. Or maybe I want to control different types of assets or access to specific types of assets. So let's see what this looks like. We can actually go into one of these assets to start with and have an understanding of what this is going to look like. So on your left column, we can see the different areas that has already been configured with these green checkboxes for these different permissions. This particular management of assets account or permission group does not have any permission into the configuration. If I click on the configuration only, you can see that there's nothing been checked here. If I click inside of inventory, you can see that there's certain things that have not been selected inside of inventory for this default setting. But what if we wanted to give maybe this unique management of assets permissions group access to view the BitLocker keys, as an example? Instead of modifying what we have built in here, I would really recommend that we duplicate this role. We can name it how we like. I'm going to put my name on there just for now so that we know that I created this. And I can scroll down here to the bottom under the inventory and give myself or give this group permissions access to the BitLocker recovery keys. At this point, I can simply hit save, or if I want, I can actually add more details of other areas within the platform. I can simply select and click the things I want, or I can remove different areas that I want and give access to that particular permission group. Hit save, and now that has been saved. I'm going to close out of this, and now I can actually go back into my accounts. I can select Frederick's account, and I can give him access to my newly created group, Manage Assets-Tim. Save, and there it is. Now, let's go back into this for just a moment and take a look at something else. You may have noticed while we're here that the Manage Assets has been highlighted and is grayed out. That is because it has been assigned through the group. So if we go back into the group, we can see that this is where Frederick has been added. If we take this out, hit save, come back into our accounts. Let's open up Frederick. And we can see now that this is now unhighlighted, and we can take this off, and now he has this restricted set of access that I have given him. Hit save and exit, and now the permissions for Frederick has been modified. I know that I've jumped around a lot within the platform and inside of the application and different roles and permissions, but my hope is that you can understand how flexible Lansweeper is in assigning roles, permissions, groups, asset scopes, and with all of these combinations, you can actually pinpoint specific access to specific assets or asset groups per role with specific permissions. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you on the next video where we're going to talk about and wrap up some of this content.